Hi, I'm Edgar Hernandez.
And I'm Nuri Robles. And this is
Talking Bar.
Your access to the heartbeat of New York City's bar and hospitality scene.
Hosted straight from the city that never sleeps, we sit down with bartenders, brands and ambassadors, hospitality pros, and cocktail lovers.
Whether it's the art of bartending, the hustle behind hospitality, or the wildest bar tales, expect raw conversations and industry secrets.
Listen to the people who pour your favorite cocktails and keep the nightlife alive.
If you love bars, spirits, and the stories that bring them to life, follow us, share, and subscribe to keep the conversations flowing.
The podcast that you didn't know you need.
New episodes weekly.
Welcome. I'm your friend Edgar Hernandez.
And I'm Nuri Robles, and this is Talking Bar.
Welcome back to another episode. Today, it's a beautiful day outside, and we just wanted to thank everybody who's watching us and who's listening to us for subtitles on Spanish or English or vice versa. Remember to go to your YouTube channel, and if you're driving or if you're running, podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Would you like to say something? Or would you like to introduce our guest?
Today. Yes. Whenever you see this podcast tonight, we have a beautiful friend that she is so amazing, sweet. Welcome to Natali Claros from Juliette.
Los tengo claros.
¿Cómo estás,
Natali?
Me siento muy dichosa de estar aquí con ustedes. You guys are the best hosts. So
I'm
excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. So we were having a conversation not long ago, and then we decided to, come back to this beautiful chat we had, and we wanted to introduce you with the guest. Also, just so you know, people want to know what Juliette is, but we also want to know who Natali is. That's our first question.
The man behind the bottle.
The man.
Or the girl behind the bottle.
Yes.
Yeah, so for whoever doesn't know you, Natali, can you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Yes. Spanish or English?
Let's do in English.
Or Spanglish.
Let's do French today.
Yes.
Because it's Juliette.
On
hello.
brand.
Just kidding.
Je suis Juliette, no. Okay.
My name is Natali Claros Ospina. On Instagram, you can find me under Lo Tengo Claros, which is my last name, in case anybody's wondering. It means I have it clear. It's a play on words. But my Juliette account is under Mon Ami Juliette, which means my friend Juliette in French.
Mon ami.
Born in Colombia, raised somewhere where I won't say, but in New York for the last 14 years.
Wow, 14 years. So you're a New Yorker now.
I will never take that title because I feel like real New Yorkers, there's just something different about them. I know I want to be, but...
You will.
But,
you are, actually.
Enough to know my way around the city.
I was going to say, once you learn how to navigate around the city, you're fine. You get lost twice and then you're good.
But also, she's not just a brand ambassador and works. She has a lot of experience in the bartending world. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that. So when did you start bartending?
Bartending? I first started in Orlando, but I assume a lot of people have had a similar experience where, wow, I just gave away where the place I wasn't going to give away.
I mean, not just bartender, but like you work in the hospitality industry. So let's call it like that.
Yeah. So I began as a host at BB King's Blues Club when I was 15. I was young.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
You learn early.
Yeah. I mean, I was just in awe of this very busy space with live music and all of that. And I started hosting for them very early on. And then from there, I went to TGI Fridays, which I can't say this enough. I don't know how many of us have come from places like TGI Fridays or Chili's. I mean, I can't speak on behalf of them, but TGI Fridays taught me, I would say, my base of what being in hospitality was about.
Yeah, because I feel like many people feel like big names or like chains, they don't have a structure, which they have a lot, actually.
Yeah, they do. In my experience, it was 11 days of hardcore training, like in a way that I've yet to come across in other places. Literally, you were a host and you had to be good at that, and you took a test for it, and then you became a busser and like a runner, and you had to work behind the bar, and you had to learn how to serve tables, and you had to be really good at all these things, because at the end, they would give you a really intense test.
Oh, wow.
I can't remember the exact amount of questions, but it was a lot.
Not as many questions as today we're going to ask.
We're going to test you tonight.
Nice kidding. You're going to test.
You already have a week of training you for this podcast. No, yeah. So you were working there. You got a structure.
Yeah.
And do you work like in a different restaurant in Orlando? You just came to New York.
I worked at a place called Rocco's Tacos.
Oh.
It was the hot bar in Orlando. And I also have to say that at the time, and it was a while ago, but they also taught me a lot. Things like how to cut a lime properly.
Okay.
That I think other people might not really realize. There is an art to cutting a lime.
Yes.
And doing it well.
A lot.
Yes.
Like also like cutting, but also how to preserve them to look beautiful and fresh. And sometimes, you see a lemon or lime and they have like the skin like improperly removed and everything. You're like, if you're like freak of details like that, you feel like, oh my God, why did they give me
Yeah, you learn the small details, basic details, but they go a long way.
It's funny because I didn't know that. I mean, you don't know that in the beginning. And I actually got into a lot of trouble for not cutting limes correctly. And not even from management, but my coworkers. They were like, oh, this girl doesn't know how to cut a lime. And it was like a big deal. And I got yelled at. Like, it was pretty intense.
But did you learn how to cut?
Yes. And I always paid attention to that after, it was a lesson that at the moment it was really embarrassing and I felt dumb, but, in the long run, I understand now the importance of presentation and why we take the steps and learn the things that we do, because all the details matter, even the small ones.
It's exactly, especially the smallest. And once you learn the basics and, you make it into a consistent cut, for example, this lemon or lime, it becomes a general note for everything else that you do. And,
And also because you will be training someone else in the future, right? So you want to pass the good information.
Yeah. And then after that, after cutting the lemons, after mastering the technique, then you moved to New York. You're saying you've been here in New York for 15 years. When you moved to New York, you started working in the industry, and you just mentioned a couple of bars, some of the bars that I've personally known. But I would really like to hear from you.
Last thing on the limes real quick.
Yes.
I'm going to take you back.
Let's go.
I like that. I like what you said about learning how to do something correctly, because I think that's what I learned about working at TGI Fridays, because I wasn't used to, or I didn't know that you would have support staff. I didn't know the importance of it because you were the support staff. You were everything. So flash forward, I moved to New York City and I start working at a couple of restaurants doing serving shifts. And at that point, I knew I wanted to make more money. I was brand new here and I was trying to figure out my way around New York. So I went to go work. A friend of mine helped me get a job at this little restaurant in Soho. It was like a cafe style. They had brunch. And that's kind of where I got my first New York job because, well, before everything else, but that was kind of like a little, I didn't know at the time what it was, but it was just like a little quick little restaurant for lunch and brunch. and all of that. It was beautiful. But one day after my shift, I realized like, this whole other staff comes in after 5. And I really didn't know that much about it. And they would go downstairs. So one day after my shift, I went downstairs. And when I saw what it was this magnetic, energetic, powerful. It was New York City and hospitality and just fun. And just for me at the time, it felt like I was in the right place at the right time. It was buzzing in there.
What was the name of the place?
Sweetwater Social.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started working there, and it was in that place that I got to meet some of, I told you guys earlier, one of my favorite bartenders to this day, that really inspired me to be a bartender. I really wanted to do it. I'd never seen anybody do it to that level. I'd never seen a bar work like that. I've never seen it in full swing. And I think that was like my first experience of being like, oh, this is something else. Like, this isn't just, when they tell you like, oh, bartending's not a real job. I was like, no, like this is a culture. It's everything. And that was where I got my first taste of like, this is what I want to do.
And who was the bartender?
Her name is Nola.
Okay.
To this day, she is my favorite bartender of all time. I think to be a really, really good bartender, there are a list of things that you have to be able to do really well. And I've never seen anybody else do it in the way that she does it. And yeah, I remember just watching her and being like stunned and just like in awe. But it was also there that I met Tim Cooper. And we all know Tim. We love Tim.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Hi, Tim. Hello. We're going to have him here.
Yeah.
So we're gonna ask him if he remembers it.
I hope he does. I was like freshly 22 years old when that happened. And I remember one day going downstairs, afterwards and being like, Tim, I really want to work here. And he's like, you know what? You should come downstairs and listen to the brand ambassadors because, they're teaching about the products. Cause it's not, going back to what I was saying about there's a list of things that you need to know. Knowledge is huge. Information is huge. People that we serve, they don't know what they're drinking. And even sometimes us that work there don't know that much about the product that we're selling. But knowledge is huge.
Yes. Especially like when you have new brands or new spirits that some people ask you, like, for example, Sotol, right? They say, oh, it's tequila. And then you learn, like, oh, this is not an agave. Mm-hmm. And then you can explain those things, right? But yeah.
Yeah. The power of, I can say that when I began, I didn't even think about this, but the power of being behind a bar and selecting the product that you want to work with, even though maybe in that quick second, it kind of feels insignificant. You're just trying to serve somebody a cocktail. No. Because you are teaching people what to drink, essentially.
Exactly. Especially when they ask you, what's best in the menu? What can you recommend for me? I'm allergic to this. I'm allergic to that. So it comes back to knowledge and education and part of the team that gives you. And we always say that in this podcast, it is important for us to communicate as a server, as a bartender, as a staff member in general, right? But yeah, I mean, that's a really good point you're touching in there. And what you had to something to ask?
No, I mean, obviously, I can imagine like that picture of being this woman, like, oh, I want to work here, and then like it's also in the bartending of restaurants. It's not like you just walk in, especially in big positions. Mm-hmm. So, how was your big introduction to bartending?
So I worked at that cafe upstairs for a little bit. At that point, I fell into this thing that I didn't know. It was like a rabbit hole, and I was put in the middle of it, and I was like, okay, what do I do to get there now? So I tried applying the regular way. Very quickly, I learned that wasn't going to work because especially at that time, they weren't just hiring. You couldn't just go to a bar and just be whatever. No, like there are rules and ways to go about it. And, also everyone required like 10 to 5 years of experience bartending, which I did not have. So, one day I had a friend come to New York to visit me. Well, not me, but to visit. And she was going on a date with this person. And she was like, hey, will you come with us? It's a really difficult place to get a reservation at. It's like the buzzing place. Everybody wants to go here. Like, don't worry about it. It's on us, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go to them, very naive. It was Dirty French. And at the time,
I love she gets happy about it.
It's funny because I haven't been there, but because also we know that the company, like they are big names. But I knew that it was very hard to get in, and like you said, it was like the talk of the town a little bit.
At the spot. It was really cool because, again, here's like a little girl from Florida that doesn't really know about anything, and you're walking into this absolutely stunning hotel that everything is done really well. And I was like, okay, this is I'm gonna come back here tomorrow and I'm gonna apply. And that's actually what I did. I came back the next day. At this point, I had already learned, like, make sure you come before service. And, 4 is like the latest you can get there. And so I printed out my resume, and naively, I was like, I'm just going to do it. I was so nervous. And I walked in and they were having pre-shift for service. And I'm like, may I speak to the manager, please? And
make a complaint.
just like... Just like walking in and yeah, it's funny now. Like I laugh now because I would never go about it that way anymore. But back then I was just brave. I was courageous. I was like, I just moved to New York. How am I going to make this happen? I didn't know anyone or anything. And so I walk in and I get the manager and I'm like, I'd like to apply for a bartending position here. And he's like, okay, sit down at my table. I'll be right with you. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, okay, I had already practiced what I was going to say. And I was like, I've already had one job bartending in Soho. So, I'm going to talk my way into this.
Yes.
And, we start chatting and he starts asking me a couple questions and he's very polite and lets me go through everything. And at the very end, he goes, okay, so you don't know anything. Oh man, the way that I felt seen and exposed in that moment, I was like, oh my God. He goes, but you have a great personality and I enjoyed speaking to you and we will put you through our bar program and we will teach you how to move behind a bar and how to gather information of different products that we're using and technique. And we'll show you how to properly do this. And that's what I did. I started working with them. I worked in the lounge area, so I wasn't like in the restaurant. But I was in the lobby and it was a little bit more, it was all cocktails, but it was a little bit more relaxed than the dining room. Mm-hmm. But I learned how to stir and I learned how to shake and I learned cocktail trees and I learned just how to cut a lime the way they do it in New York. It's super important.
Yes.
And that's where I began to build my base by working with them.
And I guess also one of the things that many people who doesn't work in the industry or don't work in the industry, hospitality industry, is like they feel like, oh, it's just serving whatever. And, the whole structure and sometimes science behind being a bartender or chef and everything is very hard. Mm-hmm. Like, all for who worked and then your family says like, oh, that's not a profession, right? Yeah. And then you feel like, okay, so I have to learn every day or I have to do things every day the same to look properly. And it's hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard. And also, you go and apply thinking like, oh, they're hiring, they're going to hire me no matter what, right?
Yeah. But, and I think you're right, because imagine if you wanted to be a chef, you have to go to culinary school, educate yourself, learn all these techniques from all over the world. as your base, right? So you might go and find a job as a cook, as a person who runs the line, or even as a chef or sous chef or chef de cuisine, whatever your title is going to be. So that's your education. But when it comes to bartending, sometimes for us, we have to start from, from back waiter to a barista, then move your way up until you reach the opportunity to be a bartender. But once you reach the opportunity, you have to be educated and you have to learn. Sometimes it's hard if you're not exposed to those environments. Like, it's easier for a bar back to know the bottles and the spirits at least. And then knowing a little bit of the history being on the spirits, it takes time too.
Yeah.
So reading your books, and nowadays with all these new books, that Liquid Intelligence, just to mention one of them, or the Joe Mixology, that's where you get your information nowadays. So basically, there's not college for you to go. There are a couple of bartending schools, but the best schools are the bars that you're working at, and the people who's training you, and the people who put the time and give you the opportunity also, in this case.
I love that you said that also, because the value of what the support staff taught me, I feel, I was surprised, right? I moved to New York and I get this bartending job, and now I don't have to bust my own anything. And people, everything is right here because these barbacks are working really hard, and back servers are working really hard. And so I have everything I need right here. And that was an interesting experience for me too, because I was used to me being the one that had to literally do everything. But these guys did their job so well.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I have lacked, I think it was a good snowball effect where I began, at TGI Fridays, learning how to do all the positions, to now having barbacks that did everything for me. But as you were saying, they knew what the specs were for every drink better than anyone. They knew where every bottle went and every tool went better than anyone. I had this one barback at one point. I remember because of the way that I grew up in hospitality, I was not a fan of finishing my shift and letting my barback stay after me. So I was like, we're all leaving together. So if you have things to do, that means I have things to do.
Exactly.
And I would stay with him, and he was a veteran. He had been doing it for 15 years. And he would go, and I would stay and help him, and he'd get upset with me. And he was like, why are you doing this? He was confused. He was like, why, are you helping me or are you unhelping me? Because I didn't.
Or are you watching me?
Yeah. And in the beginning, I'd get frustrated because I didn't know how to help him. And I thought that what I was doing was helping him because I was doing it in my way. And I was like, no, we're just going to clean these bottles. He was like, no, there's a way that I do things and it works. That's why I've been doing it for 15 years. And so he's like, if you want to help me, you're going to do it my way. So in that way, a lot of the experience also really comes from working with people that hay un dicho I'm going to say it in Spanish because I don't know how to say it in English, pero hay un dicho que dice, más sabe el diablo por viejo que por diablo.
Exacto.
My grandma used to say that all the time, and I was like, wow.
How do you translate that?
What?
How do you translate el diablo sabe más por viejo que por diablo?
I would probably go on the subtitles on YouTube and then just find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, essentially saying that the experience, you could have studied everything forever or think you know everything, but the experience is where the wisdom comes from. And so these people had it down to a T. This man, when he did things, he would be able to close the bar in 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Wow. And as soon as I was there, I was trying to help, and I'd slow him down those were moments where I was like, hey, stop for a second and just absorb what you're learning. Everybody has something to teach you. And, you have to be willing to receive the information and just not think that you know it because you've done it.
Yeah, because also, I feel like some people feel like, oh, because you're the manager or you're the bartender, you're going to talk differently to a bosser or a server, right? So I think that's another part in the industry. When you work with professionals, you feel like everybody's, it's equal. You just have different skills, but they are part of the puzzle.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody is so important.
So we were talking about your experience during your time in Dairy French, and then you can take a little bit about, talking a little bit about your experience as a bartender in New York City.
Yeah. So Dirty French was kind of the catalyst for everything else that happened. So I was working in a hotel, and across the street, they opened a rooftop bar, Mr. Purple.
Mr. Purple.
Actually, this was a pretty cool thing, but I used to serve the managers that worked at Mr. Purple. They would come in for pre-shift drinks or after post-shift drinks to Dirty French. And one day I was leaving brunch, and one of those managers, he calls me, like brunch at Dirty French. And he calls me and he's like, Natali, the line is around the corner. Like, can you please just come and work this shift? And you don't have to train. We'll put you in the tip pool, and we just need bodies. We need bodies to sell. We're like 9 deep. And I was like, are you sure? And he goes, yeah, we need bodies. And I went and I worked my first shift. And from there on, I was working half there, half at Dirty French. And that's how my experience started building, working in lounges, working in high-end spaces. That's where I started discovering speed and how to knock out 10 drinks at once, and, learning to work with a very big staff, because our Dirty French staff wasn't that big, but now it was, four bartenders to the well, mostly men. And, that's how, I from there, I went on to work at mostly hotels. I went to public hotels after that, the Soho Grand Club after that. I worked for, a little bit for Little Branch, which was a complete different experience for me, because now we're talking about more craft cocktail bar where I literally had to break ice, and that's not, I was used to the club.
And Little Branch, I believe they are like, not trainees, I wouldn't say, but they have a lot of influence with Sasha, right?
Yeah. So the way that life just turns and collides everything. When I was at Sweetwater, I was able to meet one of the Gills. So there's a family of Gills that I think a lot of us know. We know Carolyn, and we know Luis, and we know Danny. So I met Danny, Nola, Gio, all these people from that time. And not that, I didn't like super close relationships, but I that's when I started to realize about the community and what it was. Later in my years, when I started working for Mother's Ruin, which Nola actually got me the job there, I had Luis and Danny come to Mother's. Everybody came to Mother's. Mother's was the watering hole for bartenders, where you can get food at 4 a.m. You know that the bartenders aren't going to give you anything super fluffy. They're just going to give you a good drink, good food. Your friends are going to be there. It's the perfect watering hole. And it was through that job that I started really getting to know the community, learning who the bartenders were, learning what bars were, the popular bar, all of these things. And so I feel I had a pretty diverse transition into everything, because I went from hotels to neighborhood bars to clubs, volume. Yeah. I had a pretty diverse experience. But yeah, and so I basically just worked at all of these venues. And then one day I was like, okay, the one thing that always bothered me was the fact that bars weren't built for bartenders. Because usually at most places that I went, I was the only female and I'm short. And anytime that I would be at the bar, people would rather speak to the tall man than they did the short, girl that could barely see over the bar, And that made me feel some type of way. Absolutely. It also made me feel some type of way that for a lot of things, I couldn't feel like I could just stand in my section and everything was together. I felt like I needed to do a lot of moving. All of that stuff set me to think about functionality.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think it wasn't built for bartenders? What would be like?
Like it wasn't built for an array of different types of bartenders, because let's say like the shelf, I'd have to climb the bar to get a bottle of Casamigos at the time, which was the
Top shelf.
Yeah. Or, whatever it was, I needed to ask for help. Like it wasn't built for somebody that was 5'2" and not super, strong or whatever it was. And it just made me think that for most venues, the owners, they're investing a lot of money into what the consumer sees, which makes so much sense, right? Because you are, the bulk of the money that is being made usually at most places is coming from the bar. And it was gorgeous bars, but from the other side, it was so difficult. My back hurt, my legs hurt, my arms hurt. I couldn't reach everything. And I was like, it made more sense for the tall guys because they had no problem reaching over the bar and drop. For me, it was like I'd knock something over or I couldn't reach something. So I had to stop service. And those 2 or 3 minutes were critical when I had 5 people waiting for me.
Exactly.
Or I had to run to the other side to cash somebody out. There were so many things that I just didn't agree with the way that it was set up.
Yeah, I feel like most of the restaurants, they go through the map of the, like floor map, through the architects or whoever is designing the restaurant, because they are, okay, so this is the best part to build the bar and that's it, but they don't realize what they need.
Sometimes they just build the bars because they think they need that space and they want to make it look pretty, but it's not functional. And in the sense that you need to have, like the DOH standards, for example, that are very important. You have to have a well that is right in front of you. You don't have to reach out for ice and then you have to reach out for glassware. So they have to be close. Also the bottle pools, sometimes the bottle, like you say, you have to grab a bottle from out there, but you can have a bottle somewhere.
Or you have to constantly go down to grab something, which is like, if it's here, I don't have to go all the time. Like,
right.
Good. Yeah. So functionality is another part. Yeah. Very important.
That was really big for me. Because the next week or the next year, I can't even remember how the process went, but right after that, I enrolled myself in school. I went back to school for industrial design.
Wow.
Because I was like, I want to make bars that make sense for the bartender, no matter what size, what gender, what anything. It shouldn't be a problem. Anybody should be able to step into a well and immediately be able to catch on to what the last person was doing. If it's consistent, if it makes sense, if there's like a clear process, it shouldn't be the way that it is. And as I was applying for the classes, my counselor was like, you know that if you just take 2 more years, you get a mechanical engineering degree. And I was like, oh yeah, makes so much sense. Like, let me be a mechanical engineer because 2 more years, I'm already taking half the classes done. So I signed up for school to become a mechanical engineer from that experience.
Wow.
And you finished the mechanical engineer?
I did. It took, thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It was, it was a journey to say the least. First of all, everybody that I was going to school with was freshly out of high school and wicked smart. Like they would be on their phones or taking a nap most of the time and then look up for like 10 minutes and just know everything.
Wow, impressive.
It was so impressive. And for me, that was not my experience. I would go through a whole class locked in. And at the very end, I was like, wow, it went right over my head. So I'd have to stay after class and stay with my professor. I'd be like, I'm sorry, sir, but can you please repeat everything? Because,
like the whole semester.
just go over it.
Well, at this point, I'm sure you're probably working at night and, having those long shifts. Mm-hmm. So your brain is also tired a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you have to go and, educate yourself or learn, try to absorb this education or whatever they're giving you as information. And so it's hard. But you did it.
I did it. It took me 7 years to do it. But I did. And, COVID played a big role in this because, during COVID, I was able to really take like 6 classes at once and really focus. Wow. But I would spend 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. sitting at this desk trying to make sense of what I was learning. And then going to work at the bar at like 9 p.m. And honestly, like, wow, it was paying for school, paying for rent, paying for, it was super difficult. But yes, I graduated in 2023.
That's so cool.
Yeah, fireworks.
Bravo, voy a aplaudir la manita.
And so, no, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then, so I remember we were talking about also like, the times you were behind the bar, the times you weren't going to, college education online. Was this classes online? Were these classes
half
online?
and half.
Oh, that's
so
it was intense. Yeah. But so yeah, I basically did that all thinking in my head that I was gonna graduate and just start designing bars and but life is never what you think it's gonna be. So I have applied to maybe 3,000 different businesses at this point, and I've gotten some offers. The offers that I got were like, move outside of Chicago to this very isolated town and become the engineer for quality control or something like that. That was like very, hey, move out of New York, which for somebody who has spent 14 years fighting for her life here and I mean that in a good way, where I mean learning and kind of like creating a world for myself.
Yeah, I mean, New York, it's very tough in many ways. I mean, some people says like, if you make it in New York, you make it everywhere.
I think Alicia Keys said it too.
But so some other people says like, no, you, I don't think you can make it because if you go to another state, you have to drive, you have to do this and that. But besides that, I feel like when you live in New York, also you create more community because it like everybody knows it's very diverse and you get to learn from other people too, and that makes you feel a little bit accompanied, like you have company.
Yeah.
And I know that it's a challenge sometimes to be by yourself, but I wouldn't change, I hope. New York. Yeah. It's so cool.
It's inspiring. I mean, you meet all these people that have just moved out here in a whim and have carved a little world out for themselves, and then you watch them flourish, and the things that come out of these people is so impressive. It's also very like magnetic. I think the energy in New York spreads around, and so we all get to touch it, and it's more so like what we do with it when it's there. But yeah, so I spent the next couple of months as a applications engineer in this shop. I was designing gears. And listen, don't get me wrong, it was a lot of fun, but it didn't go with my, at the time, I think it was like 8 years experience bartending and in hospitality and this community that I grew in. It didn't make sense. And I was trying to figure out the best way to combine bartending and hospitality, with engineering and what I'd learned. And, it was during that time where I was applying and doing all these things where, back to Nola.
Yeah.
I had been working with her with Liqueur Productions, which I cannot say enough how honored and appreciative I've been of being able to know and work with Nola and work with Andy Seymour, who owns Liqueur Productions, and Leo DeGroff. I have been doing events with them for a while and got the opportunity to meet some of the coolest and just super impressive people along the way that I've gotten the chance to work with. And then, this was after I graduated school, and I was thinking about how I was going to combine bartending or hospitality with engineering. And then at the moment, there was an opportunity where I was asked if I would work for the speech brand. And I have to say, the first thing that went through my head was no, right? I didn't. My experience with brand ambassadors at the time was like, oh, great, they're going to sit at my bar. And I don't know, it just wasn't, I didn't know, Exactly. I did have a couple of them that I do think about quite a lot when I was taking on the role. I was like, can I do it in the way that they do it? And one of those really, really big examples to me that I was like, if I was going to do it, this is what I want to look like. And this is kind of the blueprint I'd like to follow, was Tim Cooper.
Yay. Yeah, shout out to Tim Cooper again. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
The way that the world is, you know what I mean? Like, these are people that I met in the beginning.
They actually took you under the wing, and
Yeah.
And yeah, of course. I mean, look at where you are right now.
It's really insane how the world is, because these were the people that I was like, no, the way that they do this is the way that I'd like to represent myself if I were to do something like this. And I ended up taking the job for Juliette.
That's so cool.
Then we have a baby, Juliette, here. But there's also a baby, Juliette, Natali brought. There is
So we're gonna, I'm those people that I really wanna meet or know what I want. Mm-hmm. So I don't know Juliette. I have to meet her. Okay. So please, let me try this. No, I actually tried before. I'm just being silly, but we're gonna just show the big mama.
Yeah.
The big mama.
Look at the happy face right there.
My girl.
Yeah, look at there she is.
This beautiful bottle.
It's all red. I love the red.
Yeah, me too.
I love the red in Juliette.
It's so. When I saw it, actually, I was really impressed because, it's heavy, but it's beautiful. It's very, very well crafted, and it's very elegant. It's super cute. I love it.
I actually never wore red before I started working with Juliette. Oh. I feel like a lot of you might have seen me somewhere wearing a red dress, and that was never really my color.
And I just want to make this note. I didn't know you, obviously. When I met you through Luis. Mm-hmm. And it was super cool because I was coming back also to the industry, and I remember I was looking for a job. And then one day we have this happy hour, I think, with Agua Mágica.
Yeah.
Rosita.
That's how we met.
And then,
I'll be 33. Let me just
where?
I'll be 33?
Yeah, I'll be little branch.
Or 33rd, or whatever they call it.
And I'm never gonna forget that we were all there, and you put me aside to talk about me, and you were so invested in my conversation. Mm-hmm. And I felt so loved, and I was like, oh my God, who's this woman that is so sweet, right? Because you didn't have that ego of like, I have all this experience, and I'm so beautiful, and, you're nobody. So I really love it, and that is always in my heart.
Thank you.
And then the next time, I think it passed a lot of time, and then I saw you like, I was like, oh my God, you wear this red dress. I think it was in Romeo's. But the thing is, when I saw you, I was like, oh my God, she's so gorgeous. And obviously it was like, I was very impressed that you were working for a brand, because I barely knew people working for brands. And you introduced me to Juliette. But I'm getting thirsty.
Okay.
Yeah, we are getting thirsty.
I need something
I think the
sweet.
audience is getting thirsty. Just to remind you guys, watch us, listen to us, like, follow, comment, subscribe.
And you're gonna see this.
If you guys see Juliette around, please give it a taste. Yeah.
Say hello, please. If you see me around, I'd love to meet the rest of the community the people that I don't know. That'd be cool.
All right, now we make the honor to open this baby.
So presenting Juliette We are the first artisanal pêche de vin liqueur that has come out of in this way out in the market, and we come from the same people that created Saint Germain, Domaine de Canton, and Chambord. So I'm sure that one of the first things is that you guys noticed the bottle, which our founder actually, he created this bottle, which I feel the same way about it. The first time I saw it, I was like,
so beautiful.
Yeah.
So elegant.
Yeah. He did such a great job.
Yeah, it is so beautiful.
But yeah, so we are handpicked in the southwest of France in a place called Rhone Valley. We used to hold kind of the position of being like the canary in a gold mine. So what used to happen was that if something happened, if there was like a blight or if something happened, a fungus to the pêche that grew alongside the grape vineyards, the farmers were able to catch it on the crops and then save the rest of their grapes. So we're kind of saving your grapes or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
But yeah, so we are peaches that grow off the vine. Sorry, I don't want to make a mess.
I'll help you here.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Ay,
Kiss for you, my love. See, she's very professional.
ay, qué rico. It smells so nice and aromatic.
Thank you.
So we go through a process called maceration. And so basically the pêche is handpicked during a very late moment in July, which is where the name comes from.
Okay.
And it's a fleeting season. It's when the farmers are able to pick these peaches and they get taken to, through the maceration process where they basically sit in eau de vie for about 4 to 5 weeks.
Oh.
That's where you get the fragrance. That's where you get the taste. That's where you get the essence of Juliette. From there, they are taken down to Bordeaux, where our master blender Jean-Francois blends it with 2-year French brandy.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's a blend with brandy as well.
Yes.
Okay, let's say cheers.
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 Salute.
Thank you for coming. Salute.
Thank you for having me.
Santé. Salud. Juliette, peche, kudasai. I just say something Japanese so you guys can, you know, all languages here. Yeah.
Salud por todos ustedes.
Obrigado por todos
Tienen que ver el canal de YouTube para que vean lo bonita que es esa botella. De verdad, o sea, es hermosa. Hermosa.
Para que no le dé frío.
Ajá.
Pues,
y porque ya estamos entrando en invierno acá en Nueva York. So
el invierno es fall. Ya es
estamos
otoño.
tratando de que no se enferme la chiquilla.
Oh my God, this is really good. It's aromatic.
So
This is Vesquez.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, that's for me, I think my first impression when I tried Juliette was, oh wow, when I used to bartend and I didn't know what to make people when they were like, you know, make me something like sweet or, you know, whatever, I would grab Saint Germain. It was just like the first thing I grabbed and then built from there, really, like depending on the base spirit. And I used to think of Saint Germain as the ketchup, but I feel like we're the mustard, you know? And so now we're like a main condiment, which is really fun. We're a modifier. And so you wouldn't generally, I mean, you wouldn't generally drink us on its own, but it plays really well with a lot of flavors, which is really cool because I have seen some unbelievable cocktails come out of some very talented people with sake, with amaros, with tequilas, like you name it, and she just plays really well with a lot of different flavor profiles.
Yeah.
And the viscosity actually helps bring another layer into the cocktail as well. It's been really cool to watch what some people have done with.
And it's very nice because even if it's like you say, a modifier, and obviously you don't want to drink because it's sweet, obviously. But when I drink it, it's not like, oh my God, it's super, super sweet. Like, you know, like just sugar. Actually, I mean, the first thing you smell are the peaches. And it's strong.
Yeah.
And it's very, very, very like, you know, sometimes you can find other peach substitutions, and it's mostly sugar.
Yeah.
But here you can feel the body of the peach.
Yeah, and also like this, since the Hugo it has a comeback, I feel like this is a really good option for you to have a spritz.
Yeah.
Spritz, a highball, like
Low
you
ABV.
said, ABV, or even by its own. Honestly, like I'm enjoying it by itself. It could be
Yeah.
like a dessert after dinner,
Yes.
some kind of thing, like a peach cobbler, or
Yes.
and then just a little bit of this on the side.
And you know what's really cool? It's actually been used in pastries. Yeah.
It's really good.
So I've seen some such cool things come from people's creativities with this, which has been, like the pastry. I'm gonna say the name wrong, but Dominique, the pastry.
Oh, Dominique Ansel?
Yes.
Yeah.
They had like a peach puff pastry. Wow. It was fantastic. So yeah, there is an endless ways that you can use it, and not just the endless ways, but we are absolutely and completely focused on Pesh. This is it. There isn't anything else that goes behind us, and people ask me all the time. They're like, well, what else do you carry? And I'm like, nothing. What else is there? That's what I find really cool about also working with this brand. Like, our entire focus, our entire attention is on this. I have had the incredible experience of starting with the brand. Nobody knew what it was. We talked about this.
Wow. Let me stop you there because, probably nobody, but like now everybody knows Juliette.
Everybody
like
knows
you
Juliette.
see it everywhere, and it's like, like that cute friend that you have in the bar. So you see it, and it's like Juliette.
Yeah.
It is. And also, of course, it goes back to the personality, because we always say that when we try to, like, this podcast is dedicated for people who is like brand ambassadors, bartenders, cocktail lovers, and everyone in between. People who don't know really much about the industry, but this is the way they can know or learn or understand. And for those bars who haven't tried it, they can get your contact through our link on our lower third right here.
We're gonna leave the information
in case you guys want to taste it, and reach out to you. And for those who haven't experienced it, I know there's other brands in there, but then you can see why it's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like it. I love it. I enjoy it. Not because of you are here, but I think it's a good.
They match. Beautiful.
I just realized they match.
Beautiful.
No, you know what's something funny that you said earlier? You were like, I remember when you started with them. And you were among the first people who I introduced the product to. And for those of you who saw me in the beginning of this, in the beginning of my journey to now, the product has really, it's taken off, and I'm so excited to have seen so many people take well to it and support me. And I love to support the community and be able to be with you guys and try all of the fun things that you guys have done.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit what's Pesh?
Yes. So what is Pêche de Vigne? So Pêche de Vigne is essentially heirloom pêche that grow off of vine. So heirloom peaches that grow off of vine. They're perfectly ripe during the moment that they're hand-picked during late July, and that's where the name Juliette comes from.
Oh, from Juliette. Okay, I'm listening.
So cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's really good.
So basically this process happens in the southwest of France in a place called Rhone Valley. That's where the pêche is picked. From there, they sit in eau de vie for about 4 to 5 weeks. And, this is like a meticulous process where two farmers are waiting till the perfectly flesh-colored pêche is ready to get picked. And from there it sits. And during that waiting period, that maceration process, that's where the aroma and flavor is cultivated.
Wow.
And once our master blender, Jean-Francois, has decided that it's at its peak flavor and fragrance, that's when the product is taken to Bordeaux, where they blend it with 2-year French brandy before filtering and bottling and bringing my girl home to New York to.
So it's a Juliette. It's a French that's living now in New York.
Yeah. My French girlfriend.
Thank you so much for sharing the Juliette with us and with the audience, and the information as well. And like we said, if they need to reach out or would you guys like to taste it, don't hesitate and reach out to her. We're gonna put your information there. Also, you can follow Juliette on the Instagram page, so you guys know what's happening with Juliette if you guys want to taste cocktails around the city. Yeah.
So I have this question for you, Natalie. So how do you see, or what would be for you the difference being a bartender and now being a brand ambassador?
So I would say that for me, I really feel like I kind of said this to you guys before, where for me there's a scale of where your talents are bartending wise and where you fit, right? Because there's a scale. Some of us are extremely, extremely talented at one thing, and and I think for me, being able to be around my community and do education and do inspire people and just kind of being able to watch from the side that I believe makes more sense for me. You shouldn't compare yourself to anyone, but I know that the skills that Edgar has, I can't copy. The skills that you have, I can't copy, and so I think I'm on the right side of where I belong, of where my skills match what I'm doing. And I think that that's why this makes more sense for me now than what I was doing before.
Awesome. Thank you. That's really good.
Thank you so much for bringing Juliette. Obviously, I'm very, not just proud, but I'm super, super excited that seeing you growing in this industry, especially because, as I told you, it was very humble the time that we met. And, now that you're in the other side, it's also cool because then we can support you. And I love the idea of the new era also brand ambassadors, that there are more master classes, there's more education, and it's just not, there's another spirit and let's get drunk. It's about the history to grab memories and what is hospitality, right? So the brands, I think that they are making the effort to match that style of New York City.
Yeah, it's so. I'd like to say I'm so grateful for all of you guys that support us and you show up. We really try to give back to you and just be with you guys as much as you can, because you guys are really the ones changing the way that we view hospitality, the way that we view making cocktails, the way that we view this industry. And I love to be on this side cheering you guys on. And I like to try to give back as much as possible. Please look out for some things that I'm working on. I think maybe the coolest part about doing this is being able to cheer you guys on and watch you essentially like change the way that we drink and the way that we experience, we have human experiences. And it's really cool to be here, and I love everyone, and thank you guys so much for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for taking the time of the day. We know you're busy. You have a lot of things going on around the city, like you just mentioned. So we want to congratulate you for that. And also, we want to thank the audience for staying with us throughout the end, and for watching us, for listening to us, because...
yeah, and also, it's very important because we had this opportunity to have this mini class, which is very, like, for me, I thought like, it's just a peach, liqueur. But then that's what I said. Like, it's very important that now we have the opportunity to learn.
And I'm going to clarify that it's pesh.
Yes. Pesh.
That's what I say. We learn what is pesh, and I love that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
So what I say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good night, good morning, good evening.
And see you next time.
Salud.